Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Tea Time with me, Darius and Anucauskas. Today's the 18th of January 2019. So yep, welcome everyone. Welcome to this Friday's afternoon session, which probably is going to be a quick one. Where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few of the charts, but before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so now then guys, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on here is the DAX. Now I was covering this DAX this week and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this, especially on this little downside resistance line taken from the highs of September well, or the end of September, which I have to be more precise. And you can see today we're having a nice pop above this psychological 11,000 level. Of course, not only above this downside resistance line, but also this psychological 11,000 level that I was mentioned several times in one of my videos where I was talking about this this index. And of course now it seems that it's heading towards the a test of this next potential area of resistance near the 11,180 zone, marked here by the lows of the 5th of December. So of course keep your eyes on that one. This is going to be our first target. Of course, if the buying activity doesn't end there, then yep, further acceleration to the upside is possible. Overall, of course, we still are trading below this long-term downside resistance line taken from the January highs, the January of 2018, of course. So this one right here. So this is still, we're keeping a close eye on. But if this index decides to continue pushing further up here, well, I mean, of course we could have a chance of reaching that, but to be honest, it's quite a big shot for this index, given where it is right now. So for now, we're just going to play it short and simple. First, we're going to target the 11,180 level. If it continues to travel further up here, that's wonderful. This is where we will target the 11,330 zone, approximately there, which is also not far from this 100 EMA shown here as the green line. So of course keep your eyes on that one. Certainly for now this is looking more bullish than bearish, but of course don't exclude the possibility if suddenly this reverses back down and drops below the psychological 11,000 level. Well, in order for us to get comfortable with lower levels now, judging from the picture that we're seeing here today, we would need to see this one traveling all the way back down below this downside resistance line, this kind of medium-term downside resistance line taken from the highs of the end of September last year. So this way we could then target the previous lows that we saw here back in the end of December, but again, for us to consider those levels, we need to see a drop below this downside resistance line again. But for now, it seems to be that not to be the case. Let's excuse my grammar here a little bit, but it seems to be that it wants to continue traveling further up here. Let's see how this plays out. Especially, let's see how this plays out next week. Jumping into Nasdaq100. So looking at this index overall, of course, it is trading below this medium-term, or should I say, maybe it is actually a medium-term downside resistance line taken from the high of the 17th of October. So it still has a bit of room here to go and kind of test that area. But another line that I wanted to quickly show you guys and just kind of run it past you so that you would keep in mind. So this downside resistance line, this kind of slightly maybe a little bit longer term one, but taken from the highs of the beginning of October, so the highs of the 2nd of October October last year. So you can see that now the index is breaking down to the upside. Well, actually yesterday it broke it to the upside nicely, and today we're looking at the cash index. We are trading somewhere around the 67.40, something like that, so 67.50. So yep, probably, well, not probably, but we will have a nice opening gap here, a little bit, of course, little one, but still keep your eyes on this one. It's still not far from this downside resistance line, this one that I'm talking about, the one that's taken from the highs of the 2nd of October. So in a way, still it's not far, because it's not far from it. There is a chance that this could reverse sharply and drop below this downside resistance line. Now if it does, of course, the upside could be slightly off the table. We could then target further declines here. We could target this little area of support near the 65.10, but if this doesn't hold, well, this is where we probably could get a little bit more comfortable with the downside, especially if this is going to start breaking this 65.10 level. But again, for now, guys, for now, given that yesterday we've closed above this downside resistance line, and the now looking at the cash index, we are trading around here, around the 67.50. So in a way, it has a good strong potential here to move further up here to test this downside resistance line taken from the highs of the 17th of October. So you can see that it kind of played out nicely here in the November time, and also in the beginning of December. So keep your eyes on that one. Keep your eyes, of course, on this little level here near that line around the 68.50. But again, like I said, don't exclude the downside as well, because if this suddenly reverses back down sharply and closes the week below this line, below this downside resistance line, then, well, I mean, we will probably stay a little bit more on the cautious side, and probably will take a bit of a neutral stand on this one, especially going into next week, because for the downside, we need to see a break below the 65.10 level in order to kind of start aiming for lower levels, guys. Jumping into gold now. This one is on a nice move here. So today I was talking about this one this morning, and basically was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this little triangle that we had in kind of had forming here on this commodity, on this precious metal, and especially looking at this 4-hour chart, you can see how clearly that was coiling up here. But going into during the European morning here, we managed to break it to the downside, took out a few support levels as well, and of course this is also something that we that we threw out here on TradingView, an idea that we threw out on TradingView before it kind of started selling off. And this is what I'll just quickly show you what I'm talking about, guys. So this is the one that we had thrown out on our account here. Basically, we were telling you guys to kind of to watch out for this 1287 level, because a nice good drop below this could open the path towards much lower levels. And you can see that we had a nice drop below the 1287, so it kind of pierced through this one. So for those who had a nice sell order here, then it's now kind of running nicely in profit. So what we're targeting here right now is this little area around the lows that we saw here back in on the 4th of January. So, and that's approximately around the 1276 level, something like that. So, and also this kind of coincides here with this little short-term upside support line. Wait, well, let me just kind of slightly adjust this. There we go. Actually, it's sitting here nicely. This short-term upside support line, which is running from the lows of the 28th of November. So this is going to be the first upside support line. As you can see, we do have some a bunch of them, to be honest. So this is going to be the first one that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. And again, this is going to be our target here, the 1276. Certainly, as you're looking at this one, so basically if you did enter a position here, somewhere around here, and you're now in profit, probably the little recommendation here is just to kind of probably place your stop loss just kind of in front of the entry price in case this suddenly reverses back to the upside and starts moving higher. So in this way you could protect yourself. So guys, yep, always have your stop loss in place, and let's see how this plays out, because at the moment this is looking quite interesting. And looking at this 4-hour chart, you can see that it's kind of the hold up here right now is near the 100 EMA, shown here as the green line. If this continues to drop further down, the next potential area of support that we're keeping a close eye on is the 1279 zone, but like I said, slightly below that we do have the 1276 that we're keeping a close eye on. Looking at silver similar, following similar path, and certainly now it's kind of looking more to the downside. Looking at this 4-hour chart, of course, it is trading below its 100 EMA already. So in a way, now what we're going to be targeting here is the 15.25 level. This is going to be our first little area of support. But just slightly below that, we do have the 200 EMA, which also could play out nicely, guys. So keep your eyes on that one. But for now, of course, this is looking more bearish than bullish. Let's say if this suddenly reverses sharply back to the upside and gets above the 15.50, now this is where we will probably become a little bit more on the neutral side, and this is where we will continue observing the price action, because if this starts pushing higher and if it starts moving towards the 1560 level and above that, then, well, I mean, probably the downside could be slightly off the table. So for now, guys, certainly for now, judging by the picture that we're seeing here right at this moment, yes, of course, it is looking more bearish than bullish. But if this, like I said, suddenly reverses back up here, because the day is not finished, so just keep in mind that, then yep, probably we'll take a little bit of a neutral stand on this one and see how this performs next week. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, and that's USDCAD. Now, certainly, as some of you are aware, that the Canadian CPI figures, so the Canadian inflation numbers, came out, and the headline number came out slightly better than expected. So you can see that initial drop here that we had on the Canadian dollar. And actually, let me just jump into a 1-hour chart. So this the drop in the USDCAD, so basically the Canadian dollar was strengthening here and managed to reach this key area of support that when I was talking about this one this morning, and I was telling you guys to watch out for this 132.30 level, and you can see that it managed to get a nice perfect hit, but quickly retraced back to the upside, and now it's currently aiming a little bit up in the upwards direction. Of course, the day is not finished yet. Let's see how this plays out, where it wants to end the day, because looking at the daily chart here, the daily candle is still in the red, or in my situation here in the black, but basically what we're gonna keep on monitoring this one. I doubt that this is gonna probably end up somewhere below, either below the 132.30 or above the 133 level. So of course, let's keep a close eye on that one. This week might end this trading this week might end here in this little range here, but the big action probably is going to start next week, where we will await for a nice pop either through the upside here, through this 133 level, or a break below the 132.30 zone. So if we do see a break below that level, then, well, this is where we will target the lows that we saw here in the beginning of January. But for now, we probably will just play the waiting game on this one. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for watching and listening. And if you want to join me on Monday on my Traders Espresso, and that's 7 o'clock GMT time. But for now, for those who are still trading, I hope you have a fantastic remaining trading day. For those who are finished for today, have a wonderful weekend, guys, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye bye.